Chapter 1312, Half Supreme, the Steward Demonic Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign. Kuan-Ping winced as he turned to the familiar figure. You left Mirror Moon Cottage. Did you remove the bewitching? Heavenly Sovereign smirked. With emotion Sovereign's path and my ability, I can now remove her bewitching. But you've been buzzing in my ear for long enough to bother me from refining the paths. Your persistent social call left me with no choice but to get rid of you first. The question is, will you come at once or one at a time? Heavenly Sovereign mocked. Kuan-Peng's beard shook. Facing Heavenly Sovereign alone is disgracing Sovereign's honor. Hypocrite. Heavenly Sovereign laughed. Old man, you haven't changed a bit, no? You're actually more humane now. Stop throwing excuses and just come all of you. Whoosh, Heavenly Sovereign flashed among the five beasts. They started and struck as one. Golden flames, azure flame, Qilin strength, all were unleashed upon Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign turned into a shadow and vanished, appearing above young Sanzi. So you're Qilin's son. Ha ha ha. Sorry, but I killed your dad. And I'm more sorry for what happens next, killing you as well. Bam! He poked Gu Santong's back. The incredible power slammed him into the ground, with the earth around crumbling like a deck of cards. Gu Santong coughed blood, looking pale. That's Shadow Sovereign's art and Tyrant Emperor's endless power. Kuan-Ping gasped. He refined two paths already and can use their strength. Even without Divine Eye of the Void, I'll still crush you with raw power. Heavenly Sovereign cackled. Whoosh, a black sword wave shot for his head. Heavenly Sovereign pointed with two fingers and destroyed it with his attack. A sword wave reached Sword Child, sending him hurtling into the ground. Blood gushed out of his shoulder. The hardest sovereign weapon was hurt just like that. SSS, Kuan-Ping gasped. That's not Sword Sovereign's path. His sword path doesn't have that much power. He can't have Sword Child so wounded in one strike. Ha ha ha, it is and isn't. I have taken Zhuo Fan's demon transformation art, including the apocalyptic sword. Demon transformation art's greatest asset is combining all paths. Sword Sovereign's path combined with Zhuo Fan's sword path, as in Heavenly Sword and Demonic Sword, added to the mix my power, will become the strongest sword. I hardly need to do anything just to kill you all. Ha! Kuan-Peng was grave. Heavenly Sovereign was far more dangerous now. He had been toying with him so far, yet that proved the sheer gap between them. Kuan-Peng took a deep breath and roared. Into your main form, Sacred Beast, the World Reversal Formation. Kuan-Peng turned into the vaulting Kuan-Peng, a creature 500 meters big that blotted the sky. Cao and the rest turned to their beast form as well. Gu Santong struggled to stand, turning into a Qilin. The sacred beasts howled, shuddering the skies and quaking the earth. The Emperor Land's cultivators ran away from this incredible fight. Only Heavenly Sovereign looked on with disdain. Whoosh, the five sacred beasts had Heavenly Sovereign surrounded, spinning around him and unleashing tremendous power as a vortex formed. Heavenly Sovereign kept watching with scorn. Crack, multicolored powers whistled at Heavenly Sovereign, turning into a deadly black energy right before they reached him. This, yes, the destruction power you crave, will send you off to hell. Kuan-Peng shouted. The other four beasts stared at him with hope that it was enough to combine the powers into the supreme strength and wound him. Heavenly Sovereign begged to differ. Destruction power, ha ha ha. I might be excited if it were ages ago, but now you are useless to me. Apocalyptic thunder flame, Heavenly Sovereign's left eye flashed with black thunder flames, while his right eye shone in four golden halos. Thunder flame space crusher. Boom, crushing explosions rumbled all around as the power of annihilation faced the five sacred beasts' combined power. The tremendous shock wave flung the five sacred beasts back, with the black power flashing for thousands of miles and erasing everything. The slower Emperor Land's cultivators were gone from this world in a blink. The place was devoid of life for thousands of miles. Kuan-Peng bled from the mouth, his voice weak. That's Zhuo Fan's apocalyptic thunderflame eye. Why you I told you, I've taken everything you have. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. This younger brother of mine finally did something for me, bringing back this type of destructive power. My patience in keeping this pawn around has borne fruits at long last. This power is part of yours as well. By sending you off with the same strength you have is quite poetic, huh? Heavenly Sovereign shouted, his eyes sinister. Starting with you, sly Kuanpung. Thunder flame, void annihilation. Whoosh, the terrifying thunder flame turned into a huge beam of blackness, shooting straight for Kuanpung. Kuanpung was horrified and his heart sank. I'm done for, dying at Heavenly Sovereign's hand. Bam! The beam scattered right before impact, vanishing into nothing. Heavenly Sovereign paused and looked at the familiar figure. A man in white held an outstretched palm, thwarting Heavenly Sovereign's attack and revealing identical eyes. Father! Gu Santong and Shower shouted in joy. Kuanpung shouted, Zhua Fan, you're back at last. No, he isn't Zhua Fan. Heavenly Sovereign sized him up and mocked. Younger brother, you relied on the reincarnation path and Zhua Fan's broken soul to return. Which path do you have now? I wonder, the emotional heavenly Tao or the destruction path? Zhua Fan looked calm, his smile faint. Heavenly Sovereign, you've got all wrong. I am Zhua Fan, not your brother. I walk the demonic path, not the heavenly Tao. You didn't use my younger brother's emotional heavenly Tao's power. Heavenly Sovereign's brow shook. All the lives you walked may be related, but you're never the same. When one returns, the other must vanish. My foolish brother said he'd come to stop me. So how could he be the one to fade away? And this power, how is it that you wield it? Zhua Fan smiled. Wrong again. He vanished, and I returned, only because he believed I'm better fit to stop you. Even if you're at the supreme stage, I'm the only one who can fight you, not him. What's that supposed to mean? Sovereign stage is tantamount to gods of legend. But with demons and gods at odds, only a demon can fell a god. Zhua Fan smirked. A god destroys the world to cleanse it, but a demon rises from humanity and will not let you succeed. Demons and gods have always been at odds. This is heaven's will. Master Nine Serenities said he gave his path to your brother, but I believe his dying wish has been to stop your destruction and fall into the demonic path, becoming what you see now today. How can you ever stop me? A worthless demonic path can't reach the supreme stage. Well, Zhua Fan smirked, I can't say for sure, though I've felt something else. A threshold that none has felt since the beginning of time. Not you, not your brother, ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a long look. Another threshold? Enough stalling. You're barely a half supreme right now, and you spout about something higher? Zhua Fan, I don't know if your path is for my younger brother or not, but Heavenly Tao is heartless. Its power's set. When I become supreme, the world's end is nigh. Now that you've brought the path of reincarnation, you're only helping me. As his words fell, a huge eye appeared in the sky. Give me the last path, Zhua Fan. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Chapter 1313, Void Eye, the Steward Demonic Emperor Boom. A terrible pressure befell the world and anyone in it. The people felt their knees shiver. The earth cracked in more and more places. The mountains crumbled as the impossible weight crushed everything. Then a pulling force like no other sucked all the pieces into the huge eye. Zhua Fan and the 5 sacred beasts were pulled as well, unable to stop. Blotting the heaven, Zhua Fan held his hands together, releasing a colorful and soothing aura. Whoosh, it spread once it reached the heavens, expanding until it blocked the heavenly eye in its power. The rubble and the sacred beasts fell on the ground, shocked by Zhua Fan's power and how easy it was for him to stop divine Eye of the Void. The 10 paths mingling within his body brought about a huge change, one that would make him victorious. Bam! Their hopes were dashed with the sudden explosion as a tornado swept everything. They finally righted their huge bodies and witnessed Heavenly Sovereign and Zhua Fan in the eye of the storm-clashing fists. Tyrant Sovereign's fists, Kunping gasped, What ungodly power, and it comes from both of them using it. With both at the half-supreme stage, not even Tyrant Sovereign could have unleashed so much power. Just the aftershock sent us flying. The others nodded, with Goose Santong looking tense and worried. Can Father win against Heavenly Sovereign? It's hard to tell, Kunpeng sighed, watching the two duke it out with sweat trickling down. The two fists boomed with every clash. Zhuo Fan and Heavenly Sovereign gazed into each other's eyes. Then, a black wisp leaked from Heavenly Sovereign and sent Zhuo Fan flying. SSS, Kunpeng gasped and cried. They both hold to the 10 paths to heaven, yet Zhuo Fan lost the exchange. Humph, of course, since their essence lies in the sovereign paths. As I have them, not even the inheritances he got from those fools can match. Bam! Heavenly Sovereign shot straight for Zhuo Fan, laughing. Beasts, did you think getting 10 sovereigns' inheritances would be enough against me? You're only helping fulfill my goals. Whoosh, he flashed in Zhuo Fan's face and clawed his chest, hand over the last rebirth path. Fulfill your role as a pawn. Whoosh! Zhuo Fan faded like a shadow. Shadow Sovereign's shadow escape? Heavenly Sovereign smirked. Stop stalling. I know the path's tricks better than you ever could. Whoosh! Heavenly Sovereign became a shadow, as well, and the two flitted across the skies with none able to track them. Sometimes they clashed, sometimes they hid, everything going way too fast. Zhuo Fan had roamed all over the place, unable to get rid of Heavenly Sovereign, frowning as the latter closed in. He chose to stop hiding, and just as Heavenly Sovereign's shadow got close, he popped 1,000 miles away. Heavenly Sovereign showed himself as well, using the same move to give chase. Humph, Child Sovereign's Heavenly Cloud Step? Are we playing now? A shame the skills you got from them are mastered by me now. There's no escape. You only mastered their paths, while ignorant of their mindsets and hearts when walking those paths. You will never understand the essence of those skills. And I'll reach the supreme stage so long I have the 10 paths. I don't need to understand some pathetic human paths. And that's why you will never know the purpose of the human path. How hearts turn from good to unspeakable, or turn over a new leaf to do good in their lives. Just as how they are weak as ants, yet still dare throw their lives against the Heavenly Sovereign. The figure slowed down, and Zhuo Fan became calm. You know nothing, even with the 10 paths. You've only grasped their strength, and not the journeys. Heavenly Sovereign took advantage of this moment to get closer, sinking his claw into Zhuo Fan's chest with fervor in his eyes. That's all I wanted, without the worthless experiences of some bugs. Whoosh, he ripped his hand out of Zhuo Fan's body and spilled his blood as a prismatic glow shone in his hand. Damn it, he got the reincarnation path. Kunpeng panicked, despair setting in. With all 10 paths, he'll become supreme and destroy the world. It's all over. Kunpeng slumped to the ground, powerless. The other beasts were shocked. The world will end. Zhuo Fan had a calm gaze. Heavenly Sovereign, you've been ensnared by demons? Demons? Heavenly Sovereign snickered. I follow the void path. No demonic path can touch me. Even if I do have demons, I first need to have a heart. Where else would the heart demons be? Greed becomes a demon. Fervor becomes a demon. Conceit becomes a demon. You have many of them. Since no one could handle you, I will do it for them. Heavenly Sovereign mocked. You? You're my pawn. Your path came from me. The 10 paths you've yearned are now with me, including the reincarnation path. Heavenly Sovereign looked at the prismatic glow in the sky, dissipated, and the heavenly eye exerted its pressure on the world. Now even the reincarnation veil you set up with the past is gone. The world is mine. What can you possibly do to me? Heavenly Sovereign, demonic path always follows the iron rule that only evil can fight evil. As a demon preys on lesser demons, a bigger demon is needed to defeat him. The appearance of a demon crushing 5 people demands my arrival. For I am all the demons in the world. Zhuo Fan was solemn. This is my duty and mission. This is my final warning. Stop. Heavenly Sovereign mocked. Are you insane? I'm Heavenly Sovereign, moreover the Supreme that will destroy the world. And a mere demonic emperor thinks you can stop me? The 10 paths. You can have them, I don't care. You can be supreme, I don't care. For I have lived for 32 lives, and I haven't come for that. Zhuofan had a big smirk on his face. In the heavenly rebirth lake, I finally realized what I truly wanted and understood my karma with you. You're not my match. I'll let you be the ruler of the martial emperor continent. Or what? Heavenly sovereign flung his arm. Arrogant fool. You are weak and still dare preach me? This is what I taught you back then. Don't you dare throw it back at me. I'm this close to the true Tao. No one can stop me from taking the last step. Heavenly sovereign swallowed the prismatic glow, and Zhuofan just watched. The heavenly I sent stronger fluctuation, while its golden halo grew brighter. Heavenly sovereign closed his eyes as an eerie power swirled around him. His hair fluttered as black shone in a creepy light. The huge I shuddered and vanished. Kunpeng looked taken aback, watching as the blue sky turned white with 13 silver rings shining throughout the world. Divine Eye of the Void, 13th stage, Void Eye. The wild hair fell, turning from black to silver. Heavenly Sovereign opened his eyes, one white and one black. Gone was the purple lightning gold eye and the divine Eye of the Void. On his forehead, another eye opened, pale and shining in 13 silver rings, like the sky, the steward, demonic emperor. Chapter 13-14, True Self Origin. The steward, demonic emperor. Kunpeng crumbled to the ground, his heart shaking. It's all over. His eye covers the entire sky. He holds the world in his palm. This is the supreme path. We can no longer stop him. The others felt crushed by despair. Only Zhuofan stared with an impassive look, making even the now supreme, heavenly sovereign feel uneasy. You're not afraid? Stop. If you still want to be a part of this world. Humph, you're still boasting? Heavenly sovereign mocked. Younger brother, I call you this for the last time. Do you know what the supreme heavenly eye is? Zhuofan said, Void Eye Genesis. Yes, you sensed it too? As someone aware of the supreme stage. Heavenly sovereign smiled in pride. This isn't like the apocalyptic thunder flame or the divine Eye of the Void. It will erase the whole world and then create a purer one without any filth. There's nothing in this world, not even your apocalyptic thunder flame, that it can't remove just like this. A silver glow came from the sky and a mountain up and vanished, like it was never part of this world to begin with. Kunpeng was overwhelmed with shock and fear. Zhuofan sighed. The world has yet to run its course. If you choose the path of defiance, it won't end well. It's not for you to decide what will become of this world. Heavenly Sovereign mocked. The fate of the world is now in my hands. Just like the ancient plan, the world will be created anew. I will cleanse it of all filth. Heavenly Sovereign cackled, and the void I shone in a silver glow. Silver waves washed over the world, the lands, the seas, each removed from existence. Kunpeng's group shrank back to human form, trying to get away. Don't let the glow touch you. It's certain death. As all of creation died out, they would soon have nowhere to hide. They hid in caves, only to vanish the next second, than anywhere else they could find. Heavenly Sovereign laughed at their futile attempts to squeeze just a few more moments out of their lives. These are bugs, unable to be the masters of their own fate. Zhuofan looked coldly, fading as well when the silver glow reached him. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. Younger brother, farewell for good. Since ancient times, so long has passed, but nothing has changed. No need for that. We'll be seeing each other soon. Zhuofan smirked, shuddering Heavenly Sovereign's heart. Why did he smile? In the Luo clan, with all the fighters gone to stop Heavenly Sovereign, Luo Yinchang and the girls were praying. The sky turned silver, and its glow erased everything it touched. The people panicked, and Luo Yinchang held her head. We failed, and the end is coming. Qingcheng Zhuofan. He'll be fine. Chu Qingcheng prayed. She looked at the silver glows with light in her eyes, her memories resurfacing. Sister Yinchang, I feel like I recall something, the times I spent with you in the mortal domain. What's the point of recalling it now? Luo Yinchang sighed. Chu Qingcheng smiled. There is. Be it life or death, love never changes. I've been looking for him for so long in the mortal domain, and he looked for me in the sacred domain, even when I wasn't around. Just knowing this, just a brief remembrance is enough. Chu Ching Chang smiled, tears of joy trailing down her face. Ding! The tears shone in 7 colors, flying into the sky and vanishing. Not even the silver glow could erase it. Whoosh, it flew above Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign shuddered. What's going on? What's it doing here? Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone brighter, but no amount of power could erase one lonely tear, even as it destroyed everything else. Heavenly Sovereign started. What is this? 10 paths returned, true self-origin. I live while the world hangs on the edge. Boom! The familiar voice echoed throughout the skies. Heavenly Sovereign gasped. Zhuofan? How? You were destroyed. Why can he speak? Kuanping's group started and looked at the strange power coming from a tear. Zhuofan shouted again. The 10 paths to heaven, the first heavenly path, the void path, encompass the world, cleanses the cosmos, and returns. A shudder passed, and a prismatic glow appeared around the tear. Heavenly Sovereign gawked in shock. That's impossible. The void path is with me. Why is another one there? Did he form the same sovereign path? Zhuofan's shouts continued. The 10 paths to heaven, second human path, invincible tyrant path, boundless and unstoppable might, return. The 10 paths to heaven, third human path, 9 serenities demonic path, encompassing the lands, encompassing relationships, return. The 10 paths to heaven, fourth human path, iron-blooded sword path, loyalty and righteousness, return. The 10 paths to heaven, fifth human path, the Night's Star path, all connected, all compassionate, return. The 10 paths to heaven, sixth human path, hellish nether path, outside of mortal coil, of its sorrows and struggles, return. The 10 paths to heaven, seventh human path, concealed shadow path, dashing outside of light, return. The 10 paths to heaven, eighth human path, rebirth path, cleansing all the past, return. The 10 paths to heaven, ninth human path, ardent passion path, entwining and touching the heavens, return. The 10 paths to heaven, 10th human path, mortal path, heart's origin, heart's purity, return. With the shouts, sovereign paths gathered around the teardrop. A boom resounded and the paths dispersed, ripping the sky apart and the silver glow. Heavenly Sovereign spewed blood, roaring at the now shining sky. No, this can't be. I am supreme. How did this happen? Why did the 10 paths to heaven appear? I have refined them all. I told you. You only use their effects, not their essence. Those who fuse them can form them again at any time. Zhuofan spoke again. Heavenly Sovereign, I gave you fair warning. As you insist on being alone, I can no longer keep you in this world. 10 paths unite, universe palm. The 10 paths formed a spinning circle, then turned into a prismatic palm that pressed down on Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign shook his head in denial. No, I'm supreme. You can't beat me. Void Eye. Heavenly Sovereign's third eye opened again, sending silver glows, but nothing could stop the prismatic palm's attack. Heavenly Sovereign was reaching despair upon contact, the palm erasing him and vanishing as well soon after. It all felt like a dream, impossible and unbelievable. Kuanping crawled to his feet, looking at the clear sky with a smile. It's over at last. But where's Zhuofan? Father, where are you? Gu Santong and Sword Child looked for him. A light drizzle fell on the land, but the drops were prismatic in color, sinking into the earth. PFF, the ground moved and a hand came out, followed by familiar faces. Gu Santong started. Luo Yinhai. Elderly old Dan, didn't you die? Why, we died. They scratched their heads, oblivious. Where are we? What happened? The Steward, Demonic Emperor. Chapter 1315, Epilogue. The Steward, Demonic Emperor, Gu Santong said, Didn't you, and heavenly what? What was I saying? Gu Santong scratched his head, turning to Xiaoer and Sword Child. "What are we doing?" They looked around, lost, their minds blank as they tried to come up with a name. They forgot soon after, enjoying the other's return. No one paid the empty sky any attention. The sacred beasts were still on good terms with the Luo clan, the former Sword Kings with their venerables, and they were now joking about how they were so mighty, yet staying with the Luo clan. They just laughed it out, oblivious to the void inside, the vanishing of one man. The entire world was the same. Zhuo Fan vanished from the world, and their memories. Heavenly Sovereign, let's have another round of chess. In a white world, Zhuo Fan sat on a stone stool before a chessboard and smiled at the tense Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign looked around. "Where is this place?" "Your world." Zhuo Fan made the introductions. "Didn't you want to remake the world? This is how the world first started, with nothing in it. Feel free to let your creativity explode and doodle to your heart's content." Heavenly Sovereign stared at Zhuo Fan. "This isn't what I want. I want to go to Martial Emperor continent. That's my world." "You can't go. I've erased all our traces from it. You never existed there. Not in records and neither in memories. There were only 9 ancient sovereigns. Of course, there was no steward Zhuo either." Heavenly Sovereign gasped. "You erased a person's mark on the world? Gee, just what stage did you reach?" "It doesn't matter. Let's play." Zhuo Fan gestured at the chessboard. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a strange look, then sat down across from him. Zhuo Fan was calm this time, each piece landing casually with no hidden intent. Heavenly Sovereign could never win regardless, but neither could Zhuo Fan, ending in a draw. This was what made it scary. The highest skill in chess was not winning, but maintaining a balance with the adversary. Heavenly Sovereign's brow shook, the piece in his hand falling as he shook his head. "You win." "It's only a draw. A draw means you win," Heavenly Sovereign said. "May I ask you something?" "Feel free. What is your path?" Heavenly Sovereign looked on with hope. "Ever since you appeared, I felt your path was different from my younger brother. It's emotional, but different. What is it?" Zhuo Fan smiled. His compassion was greater, that of the higher love, while mine was only of minor love. Minor love could form a path and beat me? Aren't the emotions in the world split into minor and major? Zhuo Fan smirked, causing Heavenly Sovereign to shudder. Zhuo Fan stood. "Heavenly Sovereign, including the 9 sovereigns, you were all too stubborn." The world moved along its own rules. What major and minor love? Emotion is emotion. It comes from the human heart. Simple as that. I recommend a cultivation method, made by mortals. It may not look like much to you, but this is exactly what you sovereigns lack. Zhuo Fan sent the information in his mind with a flick. True self-art. Heavenly Sovereign muttered. Return to self. Merge with the world. Human and heaven becoming one. Reaching Tao. Zhuo Fan, you... Heavenly Sovereign cried out, but Zhuo Fan was gone. He looked around the empty space. Heaven, earth and man paths united, grasping the world. The world stage, above supreme. Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone with hope and looked at the white sky. He didn't perceive Zhuo Fan beyond the white cover, holding a white sphere and flinging it into the darkness. Russell, he was surrounded by many spheres, flickering and roaming through the darkness. Some were pure white, others were gray, and the last were black. Zhuo Fan watched it all and pointed. PFF, dozens of black spheres vanished. Sorry, it's not that I destroyed you, but that your world is already at its end, turned into hell. I'm only doing heaven's duty in removing it. Zhuo Fan turned to the endless spheres, focusing on a gray one. Martial Emperor continent has yet to reach its end, but it's getting closer. Zhuo Fan roamed around the darkness, tracing the spheres filled with vitality and popping the black ones. 1,000 years later, Martial Emperor continent had gone through many changes. Heroes emerged, forming their own force. Even without sacred mountains monopolizing everything, now there was conflict among many parts. The largest was the Luo clan, as it was the closest to sacred beasts and had the mysterious sword sovereign in their home. They were the ultimate force no one touched. The Luo clan had the fortune of maintaining its honor and integrity through the ages, never throwing their weight around and looking out for the people. Even so, in a world of strength, the weak always were persecuted. Stop right there. Hand over the spirit stones. It's our money to buy food. The hell I will. Among the verdant trees of a forest, 2 girls of 9 and 10 years old ran barefoot and with dirty faces. Pa! The girls tripped to the ground and the 6 teenagers caught up, showing their depraved grins. Hey, let's see you run now. Don't come any closer, or you'll be sorry. The older girl stood up before her sister. I'm at the 8th layer of chi condensation stage. Any closer, and you're dead. The guys mocked. Haha, I'm so scared. What was our cultivation again? Boss, we're in the bone-tempering stage, the weakest being in the 3rd layer. The girls shuddered and the guys laughed harder. Grab them and sell them to a brothel to earn us some dozen spirit stones. Right. No. The sisters huddled in fear. Pa! The guys found themselves frozen, unable to move. Their creepy smiles stuck on their faces. Soft footsteps were heard as Zhuo Fan appeared before the shivering sisters with a smile. Don't be scared. They won't hurt you anymore. The girls looked at Zhuo Fan's kind face and bowed in thanks. What are your names? Zhuo Fan asked despite knowing. The older the two replied, I'm Xiao Yu, and this is my younger sister, Xiao Shuang. Ew, Shuang, Fan muttered and reached out. Will you come with me as my disciples? Disciple? Xiao Yu asked, do we get to eat? Sure, and no one will pick on you ever again. Great, we greet master. The 2 girls were so simple, immediately bowing to Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan smiled and took their hands, vanishing. The guys could move again and plopped on the ground in confusion. Where are they? Strange. Elsewhere, Chu Qingcheng stood before a run-down house with a sweet smile. 2 girls nearby whispered nearby. Why does senior sister like to stay here at her age? She must have some weird hobby. Isn't it better to cultivate in nature? Who knows? Maybe she's waiting. For who? That would be me. The girls jumped at the man's voice. They stared back at Zhuo Fan, standing behind them. Who are you? When did you get here? Don't be rude and step back. Chu Qingxiang shouted. The 2 flinched and noticed her icy stare. They wanted to complain, but they saw the tears and excitement in her eyes. They were sensible to leave. Zhuo Fan sighed, stepping forward. After 1,000 years, even with erasing everyone's memories, only you remember me. I knew that was your trick back then. Yeah, since I can no longer stay with them. It's best to be forgotten. But I didn't forget. Maybe it was your tears that I have within my heart. Zhuo Fan nodded. Maybe it's heaven's will. Everyone believed Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother reincarnated to find his sovereign path and to stop Heavenly Sovereign, when the truth is he was searching to restore his emotion center. You are my emotional center. Then will you take me along? Of course. Chu Qingchang hugged Zhuo Fan tightly, moved to tears. Where will you take me? Through a life of toil and hardships in a master's home. Master? Qingqing asked, what did you do? Zhuo Fan showed a mysterious smile. Same old, stewarding the entire world, the end. Sullivan, thanks for reading till now. We will be continuing to post the alternate ending after this. Everything will be posted as per the usual schedule. For those who are not interested in the alternate ending and are seeking for other novels like this from us, evolution begins with a big tree. Starts out as a tree, enemy of mankind. I believe this and Fated Villain is the closest to SDE in terms of feel and build-up. I am the Fated Villain. MC is also a villain. Schemes a ton. Power fantasy. Martial peak. I think everyone who reads from DDL knows about this. What a bittersweet feeling. Uneasy face. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1291. Showdown. The Steward Demonic Emperor writer. Star Reader, who black flames spread out, sizzling Zhuo Fan surroundings, but nothing changed as he withdrew them. Chu Qingchang panicked. How is it? Can you break the barrier? If only there was a barrier. Zhuo Fan frowned in doubt. This doesn't look like a barrier or illusion. My thunder flame would have destroyed them by now. Chu Qingchang hesitated. This is really strange and absurd. Qingcheng, Did Sir Shui Jing say something to you? Zhua Fan asked. Chu Qingcheng pondered and nodded. He vowed on his Tao heart that there's no barrier or array. He also said that it's my heart keeping me here, not him. Heart trapping oneself. Zhua Fan paced around. Humans are plagued with complex desires and could never see their true selves beyond them. You need to remove them and clear your heart to see clearly. Zhua Fan took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Chu Qingcheng cocked her head. A hum was heard, and Zhua Fan's surroundings had ripples spreading out, each twisting reality, even himself. Chu Qingcheng was baffled, but then a hand took hers. She cried at the sudden force, stumbling. When she straightened, the surroundings left her speechless. The valley was gone, as was the waterfall and pavilion. They were now before a small courtyard with a building and a side room. Chu Qingcheng blinked at a loss. This is the valley you couldn't leave. Zhua Fan smirked. It's nothing but a courtyard stuck running it in circles. No matter where you went, someone would have kept deceiving your perception. Unable to break the hold, you were kept here. Chu Qingcheng gasped. There's a skill like that? Then how did you? Zhua Fan's right eye shone in 3 golden halos. Maybe I have the same skill as the user. Zhua Fan smiled as the rings faded, patting her hand. A zither played that drew Chu Qingcheng's attention and made her fearful, pulling on Zhua Fan. It's him. It's Shui Jing who trapped me. It's fine. What comes, comes. Zhua Fan led her to the sounds, arriving behind the building before a youth in his 20s playing the zither. Chu Qingcheng was scared, hiding behind Zhua Fan, who bowed. Greetings, Sir Shui Jing. The zither didn't stop, with Shui Jing looking up at him. The life you lived helped broaden your heart and mind, escaping the hold on your heart so soon. Very good. Shui Jing smiled. Zhua Fan smiled. You're too kind, sir. I still have a long way to go. I didn't even realize when Sir tampered with my heart. Sir is the true expert. Ha ha ha. You're not as cocky as before. You've matured a lot. Shui Jing nodded and stopped playing. He waved to a chessboard. It's been ages since our last game. Allow me to see your progress. Zhua Fan nodded. By your leave. He sat down with Chu Qingcheng next to him, looking at Shui Jing's mysterious smile. Pieces fell on the board, each fighting to overcome the other side. An hour later, the pieces looked entangled. You're much calmer now and lost your rough edges. Shui Jing placed a white piece. Zhua Fan placed a black piece. I am grateful for your lecture. Gains and losses matter not. One needs to see the big picture to succeed. I will never forget that lesson. You not only held it close, but built on it. You're an entirely different person. You're too kind, sir. It's all thanks to you. It's a shame the same quirk remains. Shui Jing gave him a look and sighed. You like to take risks and employ schemes. That's very dangerous for a big player. The higher you go, the shrewder your opponent will become, just like you, if not above. By trying to be clever, you're only revealing your weakness to be destroyed. Pa! Shui Jing placed a piece, hard, removing many of Zhua Fan's. The outcome was obvious. Zhua Fan was dark. Yeah, sir's right. I started off as a nobody, unable to contend with the big players. But why do you, big players, still bother with a nobody like me, heavenly sovereign? He followed with a white piece, not yet ready to give up the game and his life, despite being unable to change the outcome. But he believed the chance would present itself. It always had. And if it didn't, he would just make one, like the times before. You finally figured it out. Shui Jing replied with calm. Only Chu Qingcheng gasped. Heavenly sovereign? The strongest of the 10 ancient sovereigns? No way. Didn't they all fall? Even Nether Sovereign could only wander the Nether Sea as a lost soul. How can Heavenly Sovereign still be alive? Yeah, they have. So how could the Heavenly Sovereign who all fought against still survive? Shui Jing chuckled, still staring at Zhua Fan. What makes you so sure? Zhua Fan spoke. Ever since I got Sir's divine eye of the void, I felt apprehensive, afraid that one day you'll come after me for stealing it. But then I thought to myself that this was all a stage as other sovereigns showed themselves to me and started guiding me. I didn't have such an overinflated ego to think myself special enough to warrant so many big players' attention. That left only one conclusion. It was a setup. You're far stronger and wiser now, and you can see the lining. Go on. Shui Jing waved. Zhuo Fan said, those freaks just now are from the mortal domain. I could feel the aura of the sacred weapons on them. At that moment, I knew that I would run into Sir and end up at Sir's whim. But when I heard they were your men, it all became clear. Heavenly Sovereign, you don't want to kill me, but use me. You wouldn't have helped me otherwise, guiding me on the demonic path. Shui Jing gave a slow clap. Well said, but that's on the basis that I'm Heavenly Sovereign. What if I'm not? Moon mirror fades to void, to nothing, an obvious reference to the void path. Zhuo Fan laughed. Sir, you've stated who you are since the beginning. It's just that none ever thought of it from that perspective. None would believe the first ever sovereign to be walking among mortals and toying with them under the guise of Shui Jing. The skill you used to trap me and Qing Chang in the courtyard was the divine eye of the void third stage, Mirage World, right? Zhuo Fan's right eye shone in 3 halos, but since I'm still weak and ignorant, still in the void path, I can only create illusion in a certain area, while Sir is able to implant them in people's minds. I could only escape because I know some of the void path. Heavenly Sovereign smiled. You've done well going to the mortal domain this time. I'm impressed. This time? What about the other times? Do they exist? Am I reading too much into it? You flatter me, but there's still something I've yet to understand. Saving me and guiding me down the demonic path wasn't just a coincidence, was it? I'm still unable to make sense as to why all the big players are interested in little old me. Zhuo Fan shouted in the lion's den. He had no fear in demanding answers from Heavenly Sovereign, knowing fully well his life had yet to outlive its usefulness. He needed him, they all did. So, he found it a good idea to leverage the already bleak situation he was in to gain as much knowledge as he could and formulate a plan. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1292, Cave of Emotions, The Steward Demonic Emperor Writer. Star Reader Heavenly Sovereign sneered. You know you're a nobody, a pawn in the game of big players, then you should also know that you never had a choice. We created the app you were threading. In short, you never even had the luxury of choosing a path, little brother. What do you mean? Zhuo Fan started. Heavenly Sovereign shook his head. The past is the past. There's no point dredging it up, but understand this, as I admit of leading you on, you should also learn to play along. What makes you think I'll listen? Like I said, you have no choice. Heavenly Sovereign mocked, in Chu Qingqing's direction. Zhuo Fan tensed and clenched his fists. The space cracked to reveal a portal, reflecting a lush forest within. Heavenly Sovereign pointed, this is Emotion Sovereign's seat of enlightenment. Go and take the sovereign path. Emotion Sovereign? The most mysterious of the 10? Zhuo Fan blinked. There's barely any mention of him in the 9 Serenity's secret records, with no rumors even circulating the sacred domain. How am I supposed to do that? Heavenly Sovereign smiled. By playing the role they and I gave you. Accepting their path is part of all our plans. The Zhuo Fan squinted. You mean Nether Sovereign's group? They gave me their paths just like you have. What the hell are you all up to? Would they still give it to me knowing you sent me? I have to stall and get him talking. Not like it'll be difficult. The guy sure loves the sound of his voice. He's bound to slip at some point. That's when my chance comes. For someone so seasoned in the demonic path, you're quite slow. Heavenly Sovereign laughed. Remember my lesson. The higher you climb, the more useless tricks become. We all fight in the open to control everything. All of us are crystal clear of what the other is after. Just like in this game of chess, all of us can see what pieces go and stay. Even the outcome is plain to see. You're overt and not covert, understand? Zhuo Fan didn't argue, glancing at Qingqing's worried face and reassured her with a glance before going through the portal. Birds chirped and danced in the air from branch to branch. The place was paradise, without a hint of evil or any strange elements. It was the best place for one to live in seclusion. Though there was something that caught his eye. Everything here came in pairs, including objects. Two insects flying side by side, squirrels hopping together, and even weeds growing in pairs, all joined in bizarre ways. The lone sun above struck a solitary figure in this paradise of emotion. Joa Fan chuckled, then it dawned on him to look across the sky and notice the moon, hanging up alongside the sun. Just like emotion's sovereign, to bring even the sun and moon together. Joa Fan pushed on, taking in the odd sights. Nothing stood in his way, be it a defensive array or guardian. The sovereign seat of enlightenment was defenseless. It was the complete opposite from the dark, eerie nether sea. This forest only knew tranquility and peace. Heavenly Sovereign is almighty, isn't her? He could just waltz in here instead of sending me in his place. How peculiar. Joa Fan was trying to unravel the 10 Sovereigns game and his role in it. He needed to in order to find leeway in shifting the balance in his favor. First was how all Sovereigns wanted him to get all the paths. Why would I need them all when one already is enough? Then there was the obvious war the 9 had with Heavenly Sovereign. But why? What am I missing? Pondering while rooted didn't get him anywhere, so he walked ahead, arriving at a cave marked as the Cave of Emotion. Greetings, Sovereign. Joa Fan gave a deep bow of respect. Silence greeted him. Joa Fan cursed. Is he out, or is Heavenly Sovereign's aim off? There are only infinity of realms out here. You're finally here. A faint woman's voice came from within. So is she, not a he. Noted. Yeah. Joa Fan nodded, proving Heavenly Sovereign's words. His destiny was to be the Sovereign's pawn. But it won't be that case for long. Who'll let you in? The voice asked. Joa Fan was frank. It was Heavenly Sovereign who brought me to your seat of enlightenment. After all this time, it'd be strange for Heavenly Sovereign not to notice. 9 Serenities was right. The final winner is still up to fate. Joa Fan spoke baffled. Sovereign, I could just go if you want. No, I've waited for you for too long. There's no way you're leaving empty-handed. At her stern words, a prismatic light flew out of the cave. It entered Joa Fan's body and stayed there. Joa Fan patted himself, checking for any abnormality. He made an odd face at the end. Is that it? Yes, now go. I was expecting something more in line with Nether Sovereign's approach. No punching through a sea of enemies. No running to an inch of my life. No unsolvable puzzle. It felt anticlimactic how easy it all was. After all those tests the others put him through, it all feels so random. You don't like it? Tough luck, now beat it. Ugh, fine. Joa Fan blinked at her wild temper and left with a bow. Take care, Sovereign. He returned to the portal, pausing to give this place one last look. The second he left, the paradise faded away. The pairs of insects and birds were gone. The sun and moon were no more. The only prevalent color was gray from the clouds to the earth and the barren rocks. A chilling wind blew below the heavy clouds. Over the endless bones roamed by mangy dogs and ravens as they searched for scraps. If heaven has love, then heaven has gotten old. Love is the deadliest poison in the world. Heavenly Sovereign ran amok through the world, yet fell for my bewitching and never again set foot here. Having sent him to take my path, this means he's close to remove it. We are running out of time. Bali Yuyu, are you ready? A woman stood before the cave and nodded. A pink glow filled the cave. We're going to act soon, so let me remind you. My soul trace relied on my path to survive for so long. The day I send it away is the day I will be gone from this world. But I'll be able to control it once more through you. You can't withstand a path's might and will disintegrate. Do you still accept? Don't you want to stop Heavenly Sovereign? Why try to dissuade me now of all times? Bali Yuyu looked at the cave with a cold gaze. The voice came once more. There's no grudge between us and Heavenly Sovereign. Blocking is due to our diverging paths. Mortal world emotions have no play in this. I'm happy that you'd sacrifice yourself for me. But as the emotion sovereign, I need to confirm your decision. For emotion is as hard as stone. Mastering emotion means feeling every aspect of it at its most intense moment. Nether Sovereign sent you here believing you have that capability. I know that your emotions are one-sided. Whether they can reach or not, I know. I won't let him die before me. Bali Yuyu was determined, showing a faint smile. With a boom, the cave shone bright, and a light entered Bali Yuyu. Bali Yuyu shuddered from pain, but soon her eyes opened to reveal a dreadful gaze. Rumble, the mountain crumbled, and all in 1,000 miles turned to dust. Bali Yuyu flew away, gone in a blink. 100 miles from Mirror Moon Cottage, as sacred stones entered the earth, a strange array took form. Shuang'er took a deep breath and made a sign. Li Jingtian's group was grave. Miss Shuang'er, can we actually save Steward Zhuo with this array? Even Steward Zhuo has no confidence in defeating Shui Jing with his mastery of arrays. How can you? It's not to fight Shui Jing, but to guide him. Shuang'er looked pained. This is my ancestors' mission to our clan, to give Big Brother Zhuo a way out. A prismatic light shone, and Shuang'er released a frightening aura that got everyone gapping. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1293, Advancement. The Steward Demonic Emperor Writer. Star Reader Swordheart walked towards the towering cliff, smiling at the setting sun and the cautious Swordchild. He'll soon get his wish, and this world will be at peace. Swordchild just stared. What's your name? Swordheart asked. Swordchild, did your master name you? He's my father. Swordchild's eyes were hard. Swordheart shook his head. Just like humanity, to treat his sword as a son. How does your master see you? Isn't it obvious? His heart. Swordheart sighed. Sword points where your heart is. I am his sword, moving at his heart's intent. We are one, he and I. Does he see you as a brother then? Not a brother, for they aren't of one mind, while we are. Swordheart smiled. What he wants to do, I want as well. Not like your master's fancy speech, calling you son. Isn't parenthood a form of slavery? You have to obey, and you have to listen. Being humane is so fake, so short-sighted. Humfind, Swordchild mocked. Your master made you like him, but in the end you're just a copy. At best, you're both working to improve, while at worst, you're nothing more than a replica. My father treats us like sons, but he never forces his beliefs on us. The same with Luo clan head, the same with Qilin. I am but a sword. So, who is the master and who is the servant? Swordheart looked at the sky. Heavenly Tao has no emotions, in eternal solitude, unmarred by human complexions. That's why the 10 sovereigns were, in the end, one heaven and 9 people. The 9 shared their paths, while the Heavenly Tao is only one. The same goes for us. It's not that he made a copy of himself. It's that Heavenly Tao resembles itself. I'm his sword, and he's shown me where Heavenly Tao is so we can create a pure world. What's that got to do with my dad? He has never bothered you. Of course it's related. He's crucial, be it for Heavenly Tao or humanity. The world's direction rests on his shoulders. Everything is in the hands of one man. Swordheart smiled. If all goes well, tonight we get to see the world's direction. Ha ha ha. Swordchild shuddered, unease creeping in. Whoosh, 2 figures bowed before Swordheart. Sir, it's done. They were 2 of the 8 freaks. Swordheart waved them away and said to Swordchild, do you know what they are? Once the strongest in the mortal domain, men that sought the pinnacle. But the more they do, the more frustrated they feel when they reach a wall they cannot cross. Having never failed before, they become restless. It was then that I stepped in and promised to fulfill their wishes, so they bow their heads. The moment they did so, they could never raise it again. This is the debased humanity. They're all cultivators from a mortal domain that learn from the sacred weapons. Yes, the tougher the environment, the stronger the people. After the ancient period, sacred domain no longer had anyone impressive. Only the mortal domain would bring about someone adequate every 1,000,000 years or so. Swordheart nodded. Then he showed utter disdain. And the result? They're stuck as half-sovereigns. Their immense pride turned into cowardice from crushing doubt in their abilities as they begin seeking other ways and ultimately sealing their hope to ever become a true sovereign. That's why they can never be sovereigns. If Sword Sovereign was alive, the seat was taken, for they walked the path of the sword, Swordchild shouted. Sword Heart shook his head wrong. The 10 paths to heaven hints at being only 10, but that doesn't mean they can't change. It may be hard, but if one found an alternative, another road, they too could become sovereign in the sword. Sword Child, there was once Patriarch Blood Demon who lived a long time ago. He had the bravery to do it, coming the closest to realizing it. Later on, people heard of his foiled attempt and always believed the 10 paths are ever taken, losing their courage. Will you brave it, little one? Sword Child's eyes grew with thirst for battle. Ha ha ha. You may never get the chance if your master fails. Sword Heart laughed and patted the little head. Come, let's see your master's last act. Sword Heart left, and Sword Child followed. The two arrived at Heavenly Sovereign's courtyard to find him in his chair and looking at the chessboard with an intense gaze. Chu Ching Chang paced around, looking at the portal with worry now and then. Sword Heart and Sword Child landed. Sword Heart bowed. It's ready. Marvelous. Heavenly Sovereign gave Sword Child a look, while Chu Ching Ching gasped. What are you doing here? It's too dangerous? Where's father? Sword Child asked. Chu Ching Ching looked at the portal and sighed. He went to find Emotion's sovereign. It feels like the two sovereigns are mortal enemies. Since Zhuo Fan went representing Heavenly Sovereign, maybe. Chu Ching Ching shook her head. Sword Child looked worried as well. Zhuo Fan casually stepped out of the portal, and the two welcomed him with smiles. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a look and mocked. Just like I said, the woman gave it to you. I have it. So what do you want from me now? Zhuo Fan sighed. Heavenly Sovereign shrugged, popping another portal open, leading to the sacred mountains, where their disciples and the 6 mountain lords were. Only they were all unconscious. Zhuo Fan gave Heavenly Sovereign a quizzical look. Heavenly Sovereign spoke. As 9 Serenity's inheritor, you trained in the demon transformation art to the early saint stage. You're ways away from reaching the peak. As for your heart and mind, the many sovereign inheritances you have proved their broadness. To reach sovereign stage, all that is needed is build up. What? Zhuo Fan gasped. You want me to suck them dry? Of course. Why else would I stop you from slaughtering each other? As Sacred Mountain's disciples practice the most upright methods and have solid foundations, using them will lead to best results. Just what's your game? Making me a sovereign? Think of it as helping you out. Heavenly Sovereign snickered. Not just me, but other sovereigns wish for it as well. There'd be no point dumping so many paths on you to increase your own otherwise. But your goals differs. Why do you care? Did you forget your place, pawn? You have no power here. Heavenly Sovereign mocked as he glanced at Chu Ching Ching and Sword Child. I'd have drowned you in materials by now, if not for haste makes waste. You think I wanted to wait for so long? Now, are you doing it or not? Zhuo Fan's face shook and looked around with a sigh. He made a sign and black energy leaked out of him. In a blink, a sea of black drowning the crowd beyond the portal. The victims didn't even twitch as they disintegrated. The black energy returned to Zhuo Fan and filled him with endless strength. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. You're holding back, afraid that the demon transformation art will eat you alive like your disciple and everyone. Don't worry. The backlash happens only with a weak body, unable to handle all those energies, and with a weak mind that succumbs to the victim's regrets. You've passed them with flying colors. Now, cultivate already. Screw you. It won't go your way in the end. Mark my words. Zhuo Fan shook, unleashing a violent wave of black energy that turned the rest of them to dust in a blink. Chu Ching Ching shirked back in fear, with Heavenly Sovereign nodding. Let's take this brief moment to compound Heavenly Tao like old times. Little brother, the argument before the Great War. Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone. The steward, demonic emperor. Alt Chapter 1294. Seizing the steward, demonic emperor, writer. Star Eater Zhuo Fan was surrounded in black energy, but he was still able to listen through the waves of surging power coursing through him. When a universe was in its primordial state, heaven and the earth were pure and clear, all things were honest, and there was a flourishing vitality. The prevalent, upright energy made it the clearest time in the entire cosmos. Heavenly Sovereign paced around. With the coming of humanity, the world's vitality twisted. With humanity having demons in their hearts, the world's righteousness was challenged by the demonic path, confusing it further. Yes, the demonic path was never a part of the world. It came from people. In other words, the heart is the root of all evil. Doesn't that mean cleansing the world, one has to purge the source? Joie Fan's shaky voice came from behind the black energy. Isn't this funny, talking about eradicating demonic path when I'm part of it? It's because you reached its peak that you understand the wretchedness of a human heart. I'm asking you in all honesty. Heavenly Sovereign was filled with bloodthirst. The vile humans have only worked to doom their fate with countless crimes. They should all die, right? Joie Fan took a deep breath. Yes, humans are vile, but no buts. In your long journey as a demonic cultivator, you've sought any little reason why humanity shouldn't be purged. It's how you became a true demon from a nobody. You see the good and bad in their hearts and know that humanity must die. Then you should be supporting me this time, right? When have I gone against you? Can I even do that? This is absurd. Or maybe there's a way out of this hopeless situation. All the sovereigns gave him their paths willingly, some through deadly trials, to further each side's grand design. He knew they held the key to his survival. Joie Fan focused his attention inward, giving cultivation only the minimum attention not to lose himself in the maelstrom of grudges and hatred the victims flooded his mind with, or the wild and chaotic energies he sucked to make his own at the insistence of Heavenly Sovereign. He gave all the sovereign paths within him a much closer look, poking and prodding at them, sometimes nudging them closer together, other times further apart, all to see what made them tick, to understand them, to unite them. For he knew from past experience with the Black Thunderflame's fusion that this was a potentially unlimited source of power. The only problem was how to tap it without getting burned. Or a bit of singeing might do me good. It wasn't just a reckless thought, having mulled on this direction in the safety of the Luo clan, only now spurred by the worsening situation against a seemingly invincible enemy. As he toyed with the paths, and his life at the same time, he managed to mask the violent clashes that shook his body as a result of his tampering with unknown forces as repercussions from taking in so much foreign energy at once. In the meantime, Chu Qingcheng scrounged up her courage to dispute. Humanity is evil, but has a great potential for good and honor. You can't condemn it all only for the bad. You may be a sovereign, but aren't you a human first and foremost? I was once, but ever since I attained my void path to become Heavenly Sovereign, I no longer saw myself as such. I'm cultivating the Heavenly Tao, emptiness. All my traits as human are now void. I'm Heavenly Tao's envoy, enacting judgment in its stead to remove any filth poisoning it. It's my duty. He sneered. It's because I was once human that I understand how deep this poison runs. Reap the world once, so that it may be pure again. As for that honor and good you spout about, Joie Fan shuddered and his strength exploded before subsiding. The constant clashes and absorbing of the paths and energy resulted in an explosive increase of power and harm. His insides did not come out unscathed. That was too close for comfort, but it pointed me in the right direction. The energy coming from the path's friction was beyond what I even got from the saints. Heavenly Sovereign patted his shoulder. Well done. Demon transformation art is truly incredible as the fastest cultivation method in the world. You're already at mid-saint stage. There's just something I can't fathom, though. Why do you appear to regress to the 5th layer of foundation establishment stage? It's really baffling. This is the true self art, having learned it from an elder in the mortal domain. At the peak of your path, you return to your origins. Isn't this something big players like you strive for? No, since I never heard of anyone among us speak of such a clever cultivation method. Every sovereign drew their cultivation method from their paths. Seize the moon and sun, block the stars, ruin the world. All of these are incredible. This true self-art looks odd, but so plain, made for nobodies. Heavenly Sovereign shrugged. Keep going. Demon transformation art takes everything in creation. The mortal cultivation method won't affect it. Ha ha ha. Zhou Fan closed his eyes, ignoring his mocking. I don't plan on stopping it any time soon either. Something about it just calls to me. I wonder what is one's true self? Rising above the human condition? Endless compassion, love, happiness, and all that sappy stuff? Or is it becoming one with the world, the universe? Heavenly Sovereign smiled and said, Now, where were we? Right, Miss Chu said something about honor and good. Humph, hypocrite. That honor and goodness you speak of are nothing but covers to hide the twisted and vile hearts. It has no relation to true righteousness. Humans only care about themselves, their wants, even beguiling others to stop them from targeting them. They need a good excuse to take the main role on the stage. What purging evil and vanquishing demons? They're nothing but excuses to invade and remove all their threats. Who'd act otherwise? You're sort of righteous cultivator. Think of all the times when righteousness was invoked. Wasn't it to steal or cheat or kill some threat? Was there any time they fought for a fellow human being? Chu Qingcheng was shaken up, and Heavenly Sovereign let her be, turning to Zhou Fan. You know this better than most, Zhou Fan. In dealing with the 8 emperors and sacred mountains, you used the moral high ground, didn't you? It was the only way to avoid others from surrounding you when you attacked, giving them a common cause. It's why I said you've done right by going to mortal domain, turning into a full-fledged demon by understanding the other's demons and use them. However, I have to admit that some, the very rare kind, truly are kind like a flower. Zhou Fan shuddered, and his power surged once more. He was at late saint stage in power, and his cultivation regressed to the 3rd layer of foundation establishment stage. That's it, almost there. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a long look. I never denied the world not having true kindness. But what good did it do when a human mind still gets twisted? Once this kindness gets swallowed by the filthy of the world, all it spat out is demons, vile and abhorred. By seeing their evil, you understand this better than anyone. Human heart is the least reliable in the world. An angel can become a demon overnight, sullying the world. The kindness of humans is nothing more than the incubation period of demons. They all turn given time. Thousands of saints are now dust, with but a few still alive. Zhou Fan's power grew to the peak saint stage. Yes, the sovereign paths within him drew nearer and nearer, their clashes milder as a new and incredible power was unleashed in minute amounts, propelling his cultivation further. Heavenly Sovereign grinned like a winner, his right eye shining in 10 golden halos. Little brother, just like before, you have no way of convincing me. So just the same, lend me a hand and help me reach the supreme stage to become the ultimate being so that I may destroy the world and remake it. Boom! The sky changed as a huge eye appeared above everyone. 10 golden rings shone in its center. Zhou Fan shook and felt crushed, unable to breathe. His bones felt like they might give. Heavenly Sovereign, what are you doing? Zhou Fan cried out. Heavenly Sovereign smirked, taking out the sovereign paths those guys gave you. Divine Eye of the Void 10th stage, Void Abyss. Whoosh, the 10 golden rings in the sky shone brighter, and Zhou Fan felt his strength boiling. His skin turned red and blood seeped out. He felt his strength was pulled from his very being. Zhou Fan heard a shriek, forcing his head to turn with gritted teeth. Chu Qingcheng suffered the same, looking in pain and crying out from the torment as something was being pulled away. Heavenly Sovereign, it's me you want. Leave her out of this. My word is my bond. Miss Chu will be free, but I need to take something first. Heavenly Sovereign smiled, his eyes shining golden. A prismatic glow shone out of Chu Qingcheng and flew in the sky, vanishing inside the huge eye. That's, yes, 9 Serenity's path you left on her. Heavenly Sovereign explained. Chu Qingcheng fell limp on the ground, pale and weak. Zhou Fan was worried and Heavenly Sovereign mollified. Worry not. I only want the path, not her life. She just needs some rest. Though after I reborn the world, I can't promise she'd survive. Heavenly Sovereign, isn't the path for the owner to decide? That's for common people. I am heavenly sovereign, and my 10th stage divine eye of the void abyss, can take anything, even a sovereign path. Heavenly sovereign chuckled at his confusion. Of course, if she had a sovereign strength, it might have been harder. But this is all she amounts to. Next up is you, my little brother. The steward demonic emperor. Alt Chapter 1295. Mortal Domains Collapse. The steward demonic emperor writer. Star reader in a study on the mortal domain. Wu Randong leaned back in his chair with a big grin. Ever since Sword Star Empire fell, he had been free of struggles, only needing to handle some business matters. His only mission remaining was to wait for Zhuo Fan's signal. Pa! A sudden explosion startled him and turned around. A hung jade plaque broke into 5 pieces and fell. The book fell from his hands, and Wu Randong roared, "Guard! What is it, master? What are your orders?" The guard bowed, baffled. Wu Randong took a deep breath to calm down. "Let all the land's array grandmaster assemble to start the array." "Yes." The guard left, and Wu Randong went to the 5 pieces to trace them with worry. Palace Lord said to start the large array when the soul plaque broke. He must have been in big trouble to use this last move. "Palace Lord, may you be safe." Wu Randong's hand tightened. 3 days later, in Sword Star Empire's X-Thunder Pavilion, 24 array grandmasters gathered, all 11th grade and up. Wu Randong rushed over, seeing Wu Qingxiu having come with Shangguan Qingyan and the other big names of the mortal domain. "Sir Wu, did something happen to Zhuo Fan? Is Devil Palace on the move?" Wu Qingxiu asked, with Shangguan Qingyan nodding. "Zhuo Fan and father are in sacred domain. Did something bad happen?" "I don't know either." Wu Randong shook his head. Palace Lord only left a soul plaque behind with a trace of his soul. He said that the moment he made it break, the matter is dire. We need to activate the recoil array at once. We will know what exactly happened after we activate it. We'll ask Palace Lord himself. Shangguan Qingyan and the others nodded, filled with worry. Wu Randong looked at the sky and roared, "It's noon. Time to activate the array." The 24 array grandmasters made their signs and correlated with the other array masters around the whirlwind tunnels around the domain to activate the arrays. A huge ripple flashed before a beam shot from the Thunder Pavilion into the heavens. The other 7 whirlwind tunnels shot their own beam as well. Rumble, everything wouldn't stop shaking, with the huge pillars of light acting as weapons as they broke the heavens. In the sky above the Mirror Moon Cottage, I was rumbling along with the heavens around it. Zhuo Fan's eyes gleamed. Sword Sovereign asked, "What is that?" Under all the shaking and rumbling, the force squeezing on Zhuo Fan faded. The sky all around sported creaks as they slowly spread in all directions, threatening to break Heavenly Sovereign's hold on this slice of the world. The mortal domain is stirring. Heavenly Sovereign snapped his head to Zhuo Fan. "Do you really think some rotten mongrels will be able to save your pathetic life, little brother? I'm a victor, hear me. You won't stop me from cleansing the world." Zhuo Fan could tell the collapse of the mortal domain had severe repercussions on Heavenly Sovereign's aura. He had lost his previous calm, becoming crazed, even mad, despite walking down the path of the void of emptiness. "Mortal domain?" Sword Sovereign asked. "Are those 3 beasts itching? A pity the 5 sacred weapons are in the sacred domain, or I would have gone back to set them straight. Should I stop them? The ruination of the mortal domain means destroying the source of your power." Heavenly Sovereign gnashed his teeth. For the first time ever, there was something else painted on his face besides the insufferable calm. "Go now. Stop the beast from breaking. Stop the mortal domain's collapse. I can feel the bewitching acting up. I won't be able to hold it back much longer. I need to enter seclusion fast, but not before I deal with you." He turned to Zhuo Fan with the madness in his eyes growing. While Sword Sovereign shot towards the closest whirlwind tunnel, Zhuo Fan found himself under an even heavier pressure than before. His bones creaked, his mind barely hanging on, despite being forced to increase his cultivation to peak saint stage. Thanks to the reckless experimenting with the paths, He could boost himself to half-sovereign for a while, but even he couldn't predict the side effects. Death would be a high possibility, as well as the volatile paths clashing together could go out of balance at any moment. He was set, ready to take Heavenly Sovereign on if he had to, or leave. Zhuo Fan's eyes darted around, on Chu Qingsheng and Swordchild. The latter caught his gaze and nodded as Zhuo Fan looked between him and Qingsheng, inching towards the girl without getting Heavenly Sovereign's attention. If you want them so much, take them. Zhuo Fan shouted and shuddered. He coughed blood as he pulled two prismatic glows from his very being, fighting hard not to collapse under the strain. The prismatic glows shone in his hands and threw them at the heavenly eye in the sky. Heavenly Sovereign paused, trying to recenter himself, while also keeping Zhuo Fan locked, debating for a moment whether the two prismatic glows warranted attention. He settled on letting the heavenly eye absorb them. The pause proved fatal, as the two paths crossed just before the heavenly eye, releasing a black energy of terrifying strength. No! Heavenly Sovereign panicked. Curse you! He swore, and his right eye flashed in 12 golden rings, so that the heavenly eye absorbed them before the paths went critical. The huge eye shook and dimmed as the paths entered it, with the black energy persisting around it. Got you! Zhuo Fan smirked, but it soon froze on his face as he noticed the sky's cracks healing, albeit slowly. The only visible damage he made was the black energy eating away at the eye, but even that was minimal. I have to thank you for that, little brother. Heavenly Sovereign's confident voice echoed. Gone was the anger and exasperation he showed before. I knew you were going to help me in the end. You gambled and lost. By ascending out the emotion path, I stabilized her accursed bewitching. Boom! The heavy explosions sounded from a distance, proving the power behind them was astonishing. And Sorhard is doing well, I hear. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. Like I said, little brother, all plans are in the open when you reach my level. The tricks you're pulling are nothing in the great scheme of things. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth. Damn it, why did I choose that one? I wouldn't be so sure. A charming, yet icy voice reached their ears as a pink glow tinted the sky. The steward, demonic emperor. Alt Chapter 1296, Stalling. The steward, demonic emperor, writer. Star Reader boom. As the shaking grew stronger, black cracks spread across the sky. Shangwan Qingyan was shaking in worry. What kind of array did Zhuo Fan tell you to activate? Why does it look different from the ones he used? It's hundreds of times stronger. The world is about to be destroyed. I don't know either. Palace Lord only told me how to activate it. Wu Randong was clueless, but determined. Don't worry, Palace Lord won't harm us. Once the array finishes, we can just look for him. Shangwan Qingyan nodded. Despite the huge changes, they still went with it, for they trusted Zhuo Fan. He always did something for a reason. The three sacred beasts noticed the sudden changes. In the All-Beast mountain range, Kunpeng looked at the 8 pillars of light. He met Heavenly Sovereign, and all the suspicion he had on us is removed. He now needs our help. After years of planning, we're about to attack. It all comes down to who the final winner is, Spiritual beasts of All-Beast mountain range. I, vaulting Kunpeng, am leaving to fight for the world's survival. Kunpeng spread his arms and roared. The shivering spiritual beasts lowered their heads before him. In the Ultimate Clarity sect, where decimating dragon ancestor was kept, he looked excited as well. Is the mortal domain finally breaking? But then he recalled Zhuo Fan's last trick and slumped back, humph, getting thrilled for nothing. Those humans are nothing but ungrateful bastards, caring only about themselves and leaving me here in misery. I won't fall for it a second time and get disappointed. Maybe I should raise another human to activate this array completely? But after all these years, not one human I found is useful. Zhuo Fan read him like a book and told Wu Qingxiu to make this place forbidden. So, he would not see even a ghost about. When he took Yilin, he at least had a choice, but that was now gone as well. If he knew he'd slap Zhuo Fan to death. I'm here using all I have to help, and you're burying me instead? What gives? Is this a game to you? Zhuofan wasn't to blame, though. Since they weren't kin, he needed to know the savage beast's intentions first. What would he do if the beast would have run amok the minute they got out? In North Sea, heaven sealing CAO sent huge waves as he came out to look at the sky. CAO's lone eye blinked, sneering. Another human wants to go to the sacred domain? The kid had to go either way, or he'd be just waiting for the big guys to come take his life. As for the others, they must be bored to death. The sacred domain has many powers. You're a lord here, but an ant up there. Ha ha ha. So go and die to your heart's content. CAO sunk back beneath the icy waters. Boom. The heavens shifted as the 8 pillars grew stronger, with the array grandmasters shifting their gestures. The other 7 world wind tunnels turned into 7 meteors and converged on Thunder Pavilion. The power of the pillars united, and the pillar from the Thunder Pavilion exploded in size and power. The heavens couldn't take the pressure and broke apart, revealing a large pitch-black abyss, with cracks extending in all directions as pieces crumbled. All of heaven was peeled away like an egg. The pillar kept expanding, forcing Shangwan Qingyan's group back. The pillar grew so fast it enveloped them, and the sky boomed once more. Once everything settled, the people looked up in shock. The sky was now all black, an abyss without survival. What have we done? The sky is gone. Shangwan Qingyan gaped. Wu Randong was just as shocked. Why is it like this? Just what is this array Palace Lord has placed? Look there. The sky is back. They all looked to see the sky healing and become its usual blue self. CAO was dumbstruck, with his lone eye flashing in immense joy. The mortal domain's barrier is gone at last. Heavenly Sovereign's realm is broken. I can see the real sky, the sacred domain, ha. With a boom, CAO slapped with his claws and shot into the sky, breaking the North Sea's barrier and reaching out. His huge body shifted and became a pudgy old man, flying around like a child. The array broke Heavenly Sovereign's barrier and damaged space. But due to the world's laws, it will heal. However, once it does, the mortal domain and sacred domain will be one. This place is no longer the mortal domain. A vaulting Kunping shoot up as well. Decimating Dragon Ancestor was stumped, then exploded in joy as he turned into a golden fiery dragon that circled the area before withdrawing all the flames to turn into a middle-aged man in golden robes. I'm out last. Rotten brat. I'll get you for toying with me. Mark my words. Humph. Whoosh, Dragon Ancestor vanished. The 3 sacred beasts were free from their prison, now looking for Zhuofan. A sudden low rumble echoed from all around, catching the attention of the sacred beasts. One of the world wind tunnels dimmed and then stopped altogether, causing the sky to try and patch up, resulting in a dark hole. Kung Peng's voice cut through the tension. No, someone's messing with the array. He hurried in that direction, shooting through the air at top speed. The decimating Dragon Ancestor and CAO, sensing the change in the array, followed suit, moving towards the disturbance. Having just tasted freedom, the sacred beasts weren't willing to risk being trapped again, not even at the risk of death. Sword Sovereign hovered near the sealed world wind tunnel, looking up at the sky. I managed to slow down the mortal domain's collapse, but it's not enough. I need to seal the others to make sure it won't break. The sky is trying to heal, but it's just a temporary fix from sealing one tunnel. He glanced towards the approaching sacred beasts. Can't let them slow me down. Any delay will make Heavenly Sovereign's situation worse. Sword Sovereign dashed towards another world wind tunnel, determined to do what needed to be done. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1297. Escape. The Steward Demonic Emperor Writer. Star Reader. The trio of sacred beasts reached the sealed world wind tunnel simultaneously, finding it cut off from supplying the array with the vital energy that accelerated the mortal domain's inevitable collapse. The air was charged with tension as they faced this unexpected obstacle. CAO, with a commanding presence, was the first to break the silence. It's Sword Sovereign. He utilized the heaven-sealing sword art to seal this world wind tunnel. He must be targeting the others. I can undo the seal, but it will take time. The two of you must collaborate and delay Sword Sovereign from sealing the remaining tunnels. Decimating Dragon Ancestor, his eyes narrowing with distrust, voiced his objection. No way in hell. I won't work with this traitor. His gaze shot daggers at Kung Peng. Kung Peng, however, remained steadfast in his conviction, urging, "You can and will, whether you like it or not. Our escape hinges on it, as does the fate of the world. Time is of the essence. We must intercept Sword Sovereign now." Taking charge, Kung Peng soared off in the direction of Sword Sovereign, leaving decimating Dragon Ancestor torn between conflicting emotions, unsure whether to aid or stand his ground. CAO, sensing the urgency, shouted to the reluctant Dragon Ancestor, "We don't have time for this, old dragon. Go." Grumbling under his breath, Dragon Ancestor begrudgingly took flight, catching up to Kung Peng while expressing his discontent. "This isn't over. I'll settle the score for your betrayal of Thunder Phoenix after we're free of the mortal domain." Seizing the moment, Kung Peng waited for Dragon Ancestor to draw nearer before strategizing. "I'll fill you in on everything later. Since Sword Sovereign will need time to seal the next world wind tunnel, we'll intercept him there. The plan is to stall him, giving CAO enough time to catch up, ensuring the mortal domain is doomed with Sword Sovereign powerless to intervene." Arriving at yet another world wind tunnel, Sword Sovereign swiftly launched a razor-sharp sword wave, determined to seal it promptly. As he surveyed the surroundings, he mused, "Those beasts won't allow me to roam freely for long. I must move swiftly." Casting a glance at the sky, he observed the gradual return of its blue hue, a stark contrast to the previous abyss of black. Just as he prepared to advance towards the next tunnel, the unexpected duo of decimating Dragon Ancestor and Kung Peng intercepted him. Sword Sovereign, flanked on both sides, surveyed his adversaries with a confident yet disdainful gaze. "You're out, I see, but not for long. Heavenly Sovereign will return you to your prison soon." Dragon Ancestor snarled defiantly. "No one's locking me up again. Once I deal with you, I'll take it out on Heavenly Sovereign." Kung Peng, with a sense of urgency, declared, "I believe the time for talking is over. Let's dispose of him quickly and break Heavenly Sovereign's hold on the mortal domain." With a swift motion, he conjured an azure fireball, transforming it into a majestic azure bird that soared straight for Sword Sovereign. Unfazed, Sword Sovereign drew a white sword, effortlessly sending a casual yet powerful azure sword wave that effortlessly neutralized Kung Peng's attack. Communicating with Dragon Ancestor, Kung Peng strategized, "We have to strike him together. He's using sword arts based on our powers to cancel them." In response, Dragon Ancestor unleashed a scorching golden fire, met by Sword Sovereign's counter of a golden and searing sword wave. As the clash unfolded, Kung Peng seized the opportunity, launching another azure attack that caught Sword Sovereign off guard, forcing him into a defensive stance. Despite their combined efforts, the two beasts found themselves puzzled by their inability to harm Sword Sovereign. Kung Peng analyzed the situation. "Something's not right. We should be winning here. With him weakened without his sovereign path, we should have the upper hand. Why can't we hurt him?" Undeterred, Dragon Ancestor raved, "Who cares? Just give it everything you have." His arms ablaze with golden flames, he unleashed a formidable assault on Sword Sovereign, not one to miss an opening. Kung Peng, knowing the challenges posed by Heavenly Sovereign alone, readied his azure-charged palms, ready to strike at the slightest sign of Sword Sovereign's vulnerability. Despite their coordinated efforts, Sword Sovereign, now only a half-sovereign without his path, proved impervious to their attacks. He skillfully maneuvered toward the next world wind tunnel, effortlessly sealing it while evading their strikes. Kung Peng exclaimed in frustration, "It's the mortal domain. We're still cut off from the sacred domain's rich spiritual energy, unable to use our full power." As Sword Sovereign poised to move towards the fourth tunnel, he picked up on Heavenly Sovereign's erratic aura, growing more unstable by the second. He could no longer mind the sacred beasts and the mortal domain, opting to go to Heavenly Sovereign's aid. Using two sword waves as a distraction, Sword Sovereigns swiftly retreated from the beasts, leaving the mortal domain before they could catch up. Dragon Ancestor grumbled, "What now? We can't catch him with the mortal domain still holding strong." Kumpung proposed, "Let's remove the seals and escape. Then, we'll find Juefan and put an end to Heavenly Sovereign and Sword Sovereign once and for all." It took a considerable amount of time for CAO to catch up after unsealing the first tunnel, having dealt with the others. Upon learning of their futile attempts against Sword Sovereign, he growled, "I still have a debt to settle with him, but we need to escape first." The people of the mortal domain were baffled by the changed sky, but then they noticed the thick spiritual energy flooding everywhere. They sucked in without qualms, and their Yuan Qi soared to new heights. What's happening? I'm advancing. So am I. Me too. With the broken barrier, the people of the mortal domain grew excited, tasting the thick spiritual energy of the sacred domain. In just a few moments, all of the mortal domain's cultivators advanced again and again. The fresh, radiant cultivators of yesterday were now in the ethereal stage, making it feel like it was all a dream. They didn't realize that this was what they should have had, for they had been forced to starve for ages. The steward, demonic emperor. Alt Chapter 1298, Forlorn Hope, the steward, demonic emperor, writer. Star Reader, Heavenly Sovereign's right eye shone in 12 golden halos, while his left flickered with purple lightning, glaring at the empty sky. Sword Child cried, "Who can barge into Heavenly Sovereign's world?" Whoosh, a familiar figure appeared before them, her cold eyes glaring at Heavenly Sovereign. "Yu, Miss Yu," Juefan cried. Chu Qingcheng rejoiced at newfound hope. But why was she so strong? How did she enter Heavenly Sovereign's domain? Bailey Yu looked at the weary Juefan. "I'm not Bailey Yu. I'm Emotion Sovereign. I'm using her body to save them." "Save them? You dare talk big using a trace of your soul to take over a mortal's body? You're nowhere near strong enough." Heavenly Sovereign mocked, "This is my world, not yours. What can you possibly do? You don't even have your path, only a half-sovereign at best." Emotion Sovereign smirked and looked at the huge eye. "My path is right there. You call the path I stole with my void path yours. All the more reason why you'll lose it." Emotion Sovereign gave a taunting look. "Heavenly Sovereign, remember your fall? Heaven has emotion, and it will pierce everything. You fell for my bewitching and spent all the following ages in this abode without stepping a foot outside. You were afraid of the world's energy infecting yours and ruining the heartless heavenly Tao you hold so dear." Heavenly Sovereign raged. "That was a cheap blow you did when I was weakened from fighting the others. If not for my unworthy little brother's help from the shadows, you'd never have succeeded. Moreover, I reduced you to a mere trace, only hanging on with the help of your path. Once Sword Sovereign is back, you'll have nothing to be smug about. It's no boasting, but fact. My emotion path is the bane of your heartless heavenly Tao. Once void path has emotion, it can no longer be empty. You worked hard in removing all human emotions to cultivate the void path, and when emotion seeps back in, demise is nigh. I still have your emotion path, Emotion Sovereign. You lost. We'll see. The crux is if you can remove the bewitching with it." Heavenly Sovereign grew dark. Emotion Sovereign smirked as she made a sign. A pink glow spread throughout the sky. The huge eye shuddered, and its aura grew weaker as the black energy ate more at the eye. "Humph! You had taken my path, but have yet to absorb it. I can still control it. I will have emotion reach its peak and infect your void path and ruin your heartless heavenly Tao cultivation." "Think again," Heavenly Sovereign shouted, making a sign to have the huge eye shone brighter to overcome her influence and the black energy eating away at it. "My void path is the righteous way of the world. I can't be infected. You're just a trace relying on a puny human to steal a sovereign path. How long do you think you can hold? In a minute, you'll die without a trace." "Die?" Juefan looked in shock at Bailey Yu. "Is she Emotion Sovereign's vessel?" "Oh, more than enough. Emotion Sovereign turned to Zhuo Fan. I'll stall him for a minute. Run. No, I have a better idea. Zhuo Fan smirked with an evil glint in his eyes. Heavenly Sovereign sneered. Your minute will be wasted. Zhuo Fan's cool voice pierced both of their ears. I'll have to disagree. All the paths on him were hovering around, like shining prismatic globes of mystical power and knowledge. You'll find this place to be your tomb instead. He used a short minute. He had to bring the paths closer to each other, one at a time. With every added path, it unleashed a stronger and more terrible aura of destruction and annihilation. Zhuo Fan fought hard to keep it under control, using all his strength to not let it blow in his face or before its time. Finding that the power at play here was beyond what he could wield, he thought of a better way of finishing Heavenly Sovereign. He worked to send the mingled paths at the Heavenly Eye as they lashed out with terrifying power and increased pace, wanting to destroy the skill and Heavenly Sovereign with the backlash. No, not this again. The same trick won't work twice. Heavenly Sovereign panicked, finding it hard to deal with Emotion Sovereign's interference as well as the destructive power unleashed from the premature combination of just two paths. Adding all the others to the mix would spell doom. Even he didn't believe he could withstand the sheer destructive power they unleashed. This was not a power belonging to the Sovereign stage to begin with, but a step above that of the Supreme stage. If that thing hit the Heavenly Eye, it wouldn't just destroy it and ruin everything. He would take the brunt as well. It will make all his efforts be in vain. All that planning for this moment for eons gone down the drain. Heavenly Sovereign growled. You think you have me where you want it. Is that it, little brother? His following action left everyone in shock. A pink glow shone brightly from the Heavenly Eye, letting Emotion Sovereign wrest her path from the eye with ease. Having one of the problems dealt with, he could focus on countering Zhuo Fan's reckless and insane gamble with a gamble of his own. Heavenly Sovereign shouted as he made a sign, Void Seal. The Heavenly Eye shone in tune with his right eye in 7 golden rings, striking at the incoming chaotic and berserk amalgamation of paths with a ripple in space. Upon contact, it wrapped around the paths and between them, forming akin to a bubble to keep them from mingling further and unleashing devastation upon them all. It worked. Ha ha ha. Thank you for giving them to me willingly, little brother. He glanced at Emotion Sovereign to see her in pain. Didn't you come for your path? How does it feel to have it in a mortal shell? I bet it's you who'll only have a minute to live now. Zhuo Fan paled and slumped to his knees, feeling all was lost. The steward, demonic emperor. Alt Chapter 1299, Out on a Limb, the steward, demonic emperor writer. Star Reader Swordchild took the chance of Heavenly Sovereign's gloating to grab Qingsheng and fly next to Zhuo Fan. Father, what do we do? Isn't there anything we can use to flee? We'll figure a way to finish Heavenly Sovereign later, since he's taken in by some bewitching. Zhuo Fan had a dead look in his eyes. Reflecting in them was the failing Bailey Yuyu's body and the victorious Heavenly Sovereign. I thought since having 2 paths clashing almost broke his skill, then all the paths would be sure to take him down. Heavenly Sovereign caught on his word, smirking, My dear little brother, this is what happens when you're messing with things beyond your understanding. The power of the combined paths is that of utter destruction, a force worth of a supreme, the one standing above a sovereign. Of course you can't control it. He didn't get to gloat for long, for sharp cracks resounded in all directions, bringing everyone's attention to the seemingly sealed paths. The bubble of space around the paths warped and swelled, then shrank at times. Despite them being contained, it only worked to bring the paths closer to fusing closer to each other. Deep in the center of it all, a strange and dark power of annihilation grew with tremendous speed. The earlier sounds didn't come from the failing barrier, but the lashing power surges from inside it, working its way to higher and higher levels. It was like a ticking time bomb, ready to blow up and take everyone they're down with it. Heavenly Sovereign panicked. Damn it, my path can't contain it still. He fled at top speed in the opposite direction. He dispelled the Heavenly Eye, taking the other path Zhuo Fan launched at it within himself. Emotion Sovereign knew time was of the essence and jumped in front of Zhuo Fan, Chu Qingsheng, and Sword Child in the nick of time. The darkness inside the special bubble grew so much it could no longer be contained. A blackness thick as death was unleashed, yet there was no explosion. It flooded the world in all directions with nothing standing in its way. Be it the heavens, air, and the earth itself, none could withstand it as it ate its way through everything. It lashed out with such speed it caught on a heavenly sovereign. Curse his little brother. You just had to put in so many paths. Shift. The skill sent him hundreds of miles away, buying him precious seconds as he never stopped speeding away from death itself. Despite it all, the abyss caught up one too many times, despite throwing all the skills he knew at it. It still brushed his sleeve, just as his shift was a fraction of a second too slow to deploy. Just that mere brush, and Heavenly Sovereign felt a sudden emptiness in his left hand. He looked over to find it not there, only a mass of blackness creeping all the way up to his shoulder. Gah! Heavenly Sovereign grunted, moving with swiftness and precision as he cut his arm off completely and flew away at double speed. He felt no pain as his hand was eaten away, no numbness, no nothing. The blackness was all-consuming and undeniable. He held his bleeding left shoulder, sweating hard as he strained to outlive the most dangerous power that existed. When he finally saw the abyssal wave slowing down, he could finally breathe more easily, giving him time to calm down and assess. Don't die on me, little brother. Not before I take you for everything you owe me. He gave the mass of darkness a fearful yet excited look. So this is the power of a supreme. There's no denying its appeal. I have to have it. The paths are undoubtedly safe, indestructible, but there's no telling how long this black mass will persist and keeping me away from taking them. In the moment Emotion Sovereign went to shield Zhuo Fan, Chu Qingsheng, and Sword Child, the black mass struck. Zhuo Fan cried with worry. Yu, Miss Yu. Chu Qingsheng teared up. I've used my path to shield you from the black wave. I won't be able to hold much longer. I can only hope Sovereign Yun makes it in time. Zhuo Fan gasped. Sovereign Yun? But I saw him die in the mortal domain. But his will lives on. Emotion Sovereign gave a flat look despite Yu Yu's body breaking down by the second. Seeing the dead expression on Yu Yu's usually expressive face struck a chord in Zhuo Fan. He then glanced at the weary Chu Qingsheng, from having the Nine Serenities path pulled out of her, and the scared Sword Child, his eyes darting from the all-encompassing blackness to the shrinking prismatic shield around them. It dawned on him that he was utterly powerless, a pawn for the truly powerful to toy with him and his as they wished. Miss Yu. Chu Qingsheng's cry snapped him to attention, noticing the prismatic glow having shrunk so much it left Yu Yu's hand out as the other three were huddled closer in the ever-closing space, with the looming death moments from taking them as well. Boom echoed from somewhere above them, and the four looked up to see faint, glittering white lights working hard to make their way to them. Sovereign Yun's starfall. But for every one of the 10 sovereign paths, one needs a certain mindset to use it. Taking over some random body won't be enough. The emotion path will need the pinnacle of emotion, true and pure emotion. That's the only way for you to last for so long and control your emotion path. So that means the body you're using, Zhuo Fan trailed off, has deep emotions for you, Zhuo Fan. Bailey Yu was willing to die for you. Emotion Sovereign added on her stale tone with that flat look, making him uneasy. Zhuo Fan shivered, looking at the faint stares and the hint of prismatic in them. And this is Sovereign Yun's path. His mindset is for the people of the world, which means there must be a direct descendant to be in tune with his Tao heart. It can only mean Shuang'er, but for her to unleash so much of its power at Sovereign Yun's level, then she too, Zhuo Fan choked, unable to finish, would gladly sacrifice herself for you. Emotion Sovereign completed. But why would they go so far for me? I never returned their feelings. Zhuo Fan's voice quivered. Such is love, as well as the strength of the human path. Whoosh, as the last of the stars faded just near the shrinking barrier, a blinding white light shone behind them, breaking through the black wave and into Emotion's sovereign shield, covering the three. Don't worry, this is Sovereign Yun's star path. You will turn into stars and escape from here. The blackness won't be able to touch you. Sword Child and Chu Qingsheng were carried away first, but Zhuo Fan hesitated. Senior, is this your wish, or Yu's? This girl isn't a fool to pay so much for another girl's man. I bewitched her to control her body. It's despicable, but it's all for the greater good. Farewell, Zhuo Fan. As the white curtain of light faded behind Zhuo Fan, Bailey Yu's dead expression vanished, swallowed by the darkness along with Emotion's sovereign's last trace. The Steward, Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1300, Erased, The Steward, Demonic Emperor, Writer. Star Reader Sword Sovereign was rattled as the whole domain shook. Then he saw it, the black wave spreading as far as the eye could see in all directions, with nothing standing in its way. What made it worse, it came from Mirror Moon Cottage. He rushed at full speed towards it, getting a sinking feeling the nearer he got. The black mass, now slowing down, felt utterly unnatural, like it wasn't of this world. Sword Sovereign couldn't fight the foreboding feeling for long and was forced to give it a wide berth, having sensed Heavenly Sovereign's location. As he traveled, he noticed how the black mass simply ate everything in its path, with not the slightest sign of activity coming from within. He did send a probing sword wave at it, but the reaction he got was alarming. It just vanished upon contact. 1 second it was there, the next it wasn't. The unease only grew at this. Since he couldn't make sense of it, he focused instead on reaching Heavenly Sovereign and getting a recount from him. With his speed, it didn't take very long before Heavenly Sovereign's figure appeared into his sight, but he noticed something was very wrong. Heavenly Sovereign only had one arm. At the Sovereign stage, flesh wounds could be healed easily, as the soul was the thing that truly mattered. It was also the thing in control of the path. For Heavenly Sovereign to be unable to heal meant that the damage had to have reached his soul. The question now was, could it be healed? Heavenly Sovereign snapped out of his brooding once Sword Sovereign appeared. Good, you're here. I need you to get to Heavenly Rebirth Lake before Zhuo Fan. I'm done taking any chances. He can't be allowed to regain his memories. His next action solidified the gravity of things by giving Sword Sovereign his path back. He spoke while gazing at the black mass that seemed to swallow all light. This is the result of Little Brother attempting a rash fusion of 4 paths. Imagine the force all 10 paths combined could generate. Truly worthy of a supreme. Cleansing the world of humanity and preserving Heavenly Tao couldn't be easier at that stage. Heavenly Sovereign's voice sounded eager at the end and thrilled, recounting the entire event since Sword Sovereign had left a deal with the escaping sacred beasts. From Zhuo Fan throwing a volatile fusion of just 2 paths, almost destroying his heavenly eye, to Emotion Sovereign's interference, and Zhuo Fan throwing the rest of his paths, to finally his brush with death and missing arm. Sword Sovereign asked, "What about the bewitching? Is it still affecting you? Can you remove it?" Heavenly Sovereign looked bleak, with a hint of madness in his eyes. "I did have my hands on the emotion path, but that dear little brother of mine meddled again. Now it's with the other paths within that black sea." Sword Sovereign glanced at his missing left arm. "What about healing your arm? Is it possible to do anything about it?" Heavenly Sovereign had a dark look. "That's just it. It feels impossible. It's like my soul and very being are complete with the missing arm. It's as if I was born one-armed and nothing could change that." Sword Sovereign gasped. "The black energy is so destructive, it erases the soul upon touch. I didn't feel anything when it happened. That was no sign cluing me that something was wrong. If not for me being wary and my quick action, Little Brother's plan would have worked." Heavenly Sovereign added, then turned grave. "Sword Heart, stop wasting time. The reincarnation path is of the essence, as well as stopping Zhuo Fan from remembering. Go at once." Sword Sovereign spoke. "But how could he have survived such power? Even you almost fell prey to it. Heavenly Sovereign sneered. If there's one thing little brother has always been good at, that is making a strong connection. I saw Emotion Sovereign shielding him before he escaped, and then there's Starfall, Sovereign Yun's attack. Sword Sovereign gasped, Sovereign Yun? But we saw him falling along with the rest of them all those ages ago. How could he have survived? Even if there's only a trace of him left, he still wouldn't be able to unleash enough power to save him. It wasn't him. For every one of the 10 sovereign paths, one needs a certain mindset to use it. Taking over someone's body won't work. Emotion path needs the pinnacle of emotion, true and pure emotion. That is the only way for Emotion Sovereign to last that short minute and control the emotion path like back then. Heavenly Sovereign continued. That means the body she used had deep emotions for Zhuo Fan. The vessel was willing to die for him. Heavenly Sovereign turned pensive. In regard to Sovereign Yun, his mindset is for the people of the world. It can only be a direct descendant who is in tune with his Tao heart to wield his path. But they also had to have the heart to sacrifice themselves for Zhuo Fan to unleash so much of its power at Yun Sovereign's level. But why does this kid have so many willing to die for him? Sword Sovereign sighed. This must be the human path's strength. Also, he paused. You know very well your little brother's grace. Heavenly Sovereign said, that's why he diverged on his journey towards the heavenly Tao, pulled towards the human path. Then turned grave. Now enough talking. Well, I'll make another domain for myself before I let the bewitching infect me further. You are to go and give me the final path before Zhuo Fan does. Damn it. Now I'm stuck waiting once more. I need to wait for the Black Sea to reseed before taking the emotion path, and the rest before I can begin cleansing the world. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1301, Pain of Loss. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Writer, Star Reader Whoosh. Through the curtain of starry lights, Sword Child raced with Chu Qingsheng to safety, sometimes looking back with confusion. How come the Black Sea hasn't caught up yet? I hope Father is all right. He noticed that the star path was narrowing as he came to a stop. Neither he nor Zhuo Fan could do anything in a fight against Heavenly Sovereign or Sword Sovereign. The only saving grace was Emotion Sovereign coming in the nick of time to save them from a terrible power, the likes he had never seen. While the power was the result of his father's absolutely reckless attempt at taking down Heavenly Sovereign, it also blew up in their face. The first of the sovereigns, the strongest in history, was even forced to flee for his life. It was an absolute miracle they got out alive from that horrendous power. Wiping his brow in relief, he calmed down and noticed his surroundings, which had Danqing Shun among a group of people. What are they doing here? Sword Child rushed over. Why are you guys here? Run quickly, or you're going to die. He glanced waringly at the Black Sea, hoping it wouldn't jump on them and swallow them into the endless abyss. The other side, Sword Child asked. What's wrong with all of you? Miss Schwanger had set up an array and perished within it, soul and all. Danqing Shun pointed at the sacred stones disintegrating on the ground, placed in key points inside an intricate array. Sword Child started. She perished? Why? She said she'll save Steward Zhuo. She turned into bright motes of light inside the array, forming the curtain of light you had just used to arrive. Sword Child shuddered. She made the path of starlight to save Father and us. But this is not the time for lament. All of us must run away from here before Heavenly Sovereign comes after us. Heavenly Sovereign? He's alive? Why else do you think I've been fleeing for my life? What about Steward Zhuo? Father was right behind us. He should come out any minute now. Once he does, we'll get to the safety of Luo clan and tell you everything that happened. Let's just get to safety first. Sword Child said, we need to survive to fight. We'll think of something later. Sword Child held the weakened Chu Qingsheng by himself with anxiety as he waited for Zhuo Fan to come out from the shrinking light curtain. Danqing Shun's group turned to the starlight with worry as well. Big Brother Zhuo. A familiar voice reached Zhuo Fan among the stars. He opened his eyes to find light everywhere, amidst the encroaching darkness. He then noticed a figure smiling back in a white dress. Zhuofan looked pained at her translucent image. Was it Sovereign Yun's plan? Shuang'er nodded with a bright smile. Zhuofan sighed. Why did you do it? He was your ancestor, but this is a battle between ancient experts. It had nothing to do with you. They only had their eyes on me, and I can't escape. So why must you become their pawn too? I did it on my own volition. You wanted this? Zhuofan raised his eyebrows. Then he nodded. Oh, the Yun clan always puts the people first. Heavenly Sovereign just told me he wants to remake the world. Shuang'er, you'd never allow all those people to suffer for it. But was it worth it? Sacrificing yourself to save one life for the good of the world? Big Brother Zhua, once the end of the world come, won't I go along with it? It's not the same. No matter the outcome, you just shouldn't help if it meant always sacrificing yourself. What difference would that be to you when you won't see the world again in both cases? There is. This way, at the very least, I know there will be someone around to watch over it in my stead. There wouldn't be much of a world without you in it, Big Brother Zhua. Shuang'er gave a sweet smile. Zhuofan patted her head. Shuang'er, you haven't changed a bit after all this time. I promised you back in Tianyu's war that I will do all I can to save the people, and I won't fail you. But I can't bear the thought of losing you as well. I already lost you, and Shuang'er took his hand from her head and leaned her cheek into it. I wanted to do this, Big Brother Zhua, for you. I know Sister Yu did it for the very same reasons. She noticed the starlight was shrinking faster and pulled back to let him go. Zhuofan brushed past her. He formed hasty signs, trying all methods he could think of to save her as well, but nothing worked. He knew that Shuang'er was now but a trace bound to fade away into nothingness. This was their final meeting. However, he wasn't one to quit even when the odds were impossible or stacked against him. And yet, deep down, he knew he would never see her again. Zhuofan went through the starry path when Shuang'er spoke again. This is as far as I can take you. Look out for the world, this beautiful place. Zhuofan's heart shook. If she was being honest with herself, Shuang'er hadn't done it out of the goodness of her heart to save the people per Sovereign Yun's wishes. It was mostly for him. He was the one that helped her see the world, not the people. She sacrificed herself for me. Zhuofan shouted, but he watched the light behind him being swallowed by the Black Sea, a crushing darkness. Behind him, her holy figure was slowly eaten away by the encroaching sea, yet unable to rob her of that innocent and loving smile. I thought I had a big heart, only caring about the safety of the world, and I still thought the same up until the moment of carrying Ancestor Yun's mission. Only now do I realize that I was selfish. My heart is, and has always been unable to hold more than one single person. Shuang'er faded as she watched Zhuofan go. Sister Chu was right. We're all frail, unable to see the world. Our hearts and gazes have all been stolen by one man. Farewell, Big Brothers. Whoosh, the holy light burst, and a prismatic light rose high above, mystical and majestic, the star path, soon to be swallowed by the abyss. The steward, demonic emperor. Alt Chapter 1302, to Luo Clan, the steward, demonic emperor, writer. Star Reader, who the thick spiritual energy flooded the surroundings of the mortal domain cultivators, making them sit down on the spot to cultivate at this incredible opportunity. A month later, Wu Qingxiu and the others ignored everything as they cultivated at the Thunder Pavilion. They opened their eyes to find themselves stronger than invincible sword before. What did the array do? Everyone looked around with joy. Wu Qingxiu teared up. This doesn't feel like our home. It's like our entire world changed. Zhuofan had been obsessed with this array for a century, but what did it actually do? It's just incredible. Wu Randong stood up looking grave. Palace Lord said that this array will connect two worlds, that they would combine at its activation. All this incredible spiritual energy we're enjoying comes from the other side. The place with the Devil Mountain Zhua, Fan mentioned? Yes. Wu Randong was grave. Wu Qingxiu nodded with an excited look. This is why Devil Mountain disciples were all powerful. They had the best conditions. It's all thanks to Zhuofan, that we now get to enjoy the same treatment when he joined the worlds. Wu Randong wasn't happy at all. I don't know for certain, but there has to be a good reason why Palace Lord had us wait for the very last moment until he gave us the signal to activate the array. The worlds might be one now, but we better go find Palace Lord to help him out. Right? We first gotta find him. But Wu Qingqiu frowned. Where do we start? Where do we go? Wu Randong considered. I had the disciples of the five lands spread out. With the worlds combining, there has to be common points that should point us the way. I hope so. Wu Qingqiu sighed. By the time we locate and reach the new boundary of this new world, Brother Zhuo might be gone. A blue figure flew high in the sky, going at incredible speed. An angry shout came. Damn coot, traitor, stop right there. Whoosh, a golden flame startled the man in blue. Looking back, he threw an azure fire at the golden flame. Boom! The clash resulted in grand explosions of flames. The mighty power shook the heavens and broke the earth. The sky sported black holes for thousands of miles. Even peak saints weren't capable of such unbridled destruction. Whoosh, the two separated from the clash. What are you doing, you crazy old man? Kunping cursed Dragon Ancestor. I've yet to pay you back from before. What did I do to you? Pay me what? For treason. Dragon Ancestor gnashed his teeth. If not for selling Thunder Phoenix out, we wouldn't have been stuck in the mortal domain for so long. With all our powers combined, combine our strengths? You think that's enough against Heavenly Sovereign? Kunping cut him off with a sneer. Ignorant fool. You have no idea how bad things were last time. You're only standing here whining, you lummox. We're only able to survive because we tricked them. Thunder Phoenix sacrificed himself while we feign weakness. Dragon Ancestor blinked. Wait, a trick? What? Thunder Phoenix willingly sacrificed himself. I didn't sell anyone out. Dragon Ancestor shook, baffled. Is he out his mind? Giving himself over to Heavenly Sovereign? He wasn't insane, but upright and honorable. To save everyone, he sacrificed himself. He saw it as honorable and worthwhile. What the hell do you know? Kunpeng glared and sighed. Dragon Ancestor was completely taken aback, his rage deflated. A cold aura came over that snuffed out the remaining flames around. The two cried out, "CAO! Aha! I'm tired of wandering the same North Sea. Now that Heavenly Sovereign's barrier is gone, I'm free to stretch my legs. Oh, don't mind me. Duke it out, he." The space warped and a one-eyed old man appeared with a grin. Kunpeng sighed. Old dragon, CAO, allow me to explain what happened while we go find Zhuo Fan. He had the restriction on the mortal domain removed because he believes in us. He must have met with Heavenly Sovereign. We must save him before Heavenly Sovereign kills him, and all our suffering will be for naught. Kunpeng flew away. T-Sich, to call hiding on a mountain torture, Dragon Ancestor huffed, but still chose to follow. They had a common enemy, and that took precedence over any betrayal. CAO shrugged as he joined them. They flew for 3 days and arrived at the boundary of the mortal domain, which touched upon the sacred domain. They entered the new world, and Kunpeng shrieked while Dragon Ancestor roared. Whoosh, birds flew over, and dragons growled as they came in joy. Greetings, Sir Kunpeng. Greetings, Dragon Ancestor. What about me? CAO felt sour being left out. Kunpeng snickered. CAO, don't mind it. This isn't the sea, so your people aren't nearby. Right, then let's go to the sea. Would Zhuo Fan go there, though? Decimating Dragon Ancestor glanced at the spiritual beasts and dragons. Listen up, we're looking for a human called Zhuo Fan. Find him at once. One dragon hesitated. Ancestor, is he the same Zhuo Fan the Luo clan have for a steward? He was indeed a steward of a tiny clan in the mortal domain. He looked to be enjoying his post too. Kunpeng nodded. Do you know where he is? The dragon bowed. Ancestor, sirs, Steward was said he's your representative and worked with us to attack sacred mountains. Oh, the punk knows how to steal authority. First he left us to rot, then he used our name? Preposterous. Dragon Ancestor raged. Where is that punk? I'll string him up and chop him to pieces. SSS, the dragon started. He isn't Ancestor's representative? Curses, he played us for fools. He had two sacred beasts, and one calling himself Ancestor's inheritor, so we believed him. We even let them go to the dragonizing pool. We'll go right away and execute those liars. What liars? You can't tell sacred beasts' aura from fakes? That inheritor is really that old dragon's disciple. Kunpeng glanced at Dragon Ancestor. Dragon Ancestor nodded. It must be Yilin. They are indeed under me. I was just annoyed, but that doesn't mean you can go wild on them as you please. Unless you have actually grown tired of your heads and fancied removing them from your shoulders. Right, the dragon flinched and tensed. I never knew Ancestor likes to joke around. He almost scared me. Thank heaven I didn't try anything with those humans. You still haven't said where Zhuo Fan is. Take us there. Well, about that, the dragon hesitated. What is it this time? All that we know is that Steward Zhuo hasn't been the same ever since he returned to the Luo clan. He's guarded around the clock, and no one can see him. Kunpeng growled. He'll see us. I'll make sure of that. Come on, we must get a grasp on the situation fast before Heavenly Sovereign is up to no good. The other two nodded and were ready to fly for the Luo clan at top speed. The dragon who spoke before hung his head, with eyes darting everywhere. There's also a potentially huge issue. Dragon Ancestor snapped, making the dragon flinch. Stop with your mewling and spit out already. We're losing time here. Kunpeng added, what can it be more important than finishing off our greatest enemy? The dragon shrunk under the three sacred beasts' hard stares, unable to take their mighty auras, stronger than even his dragon sovereign. Well, it's just that a few weeks ago, a sudden blackness appeared out of nowhere that swallowed vast stretches of wilderness. We could get no reaction from it, not sensing any danger or anything that could help us understand its nature. But this all-encompassing blackness weighs heavy on any that gazes upon its vastness. The trio exchanged a worried and puzzled look. Kunpeng said, since it's benign, we'll address the issue after we check up on Zhuo Fan. Handling Heavenly Sovereign takes priority. The Steward Demonic Emperor that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.